Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Magnus, and today we're going to talk about the new release that Checkpoint just released a few days ago, the R81.10. So this is a minor version of the R81, and the biggest things with R81.10 is the Maestro part, meaning the scalable platform parts. So Checkpoint claims that this is now part of the main train. They actually claim that from R81. There are still stuff that is not really main train, it's still its own release, but it should have the patches going out the same time. They should have the same basic codes, but scalable platform still requires specific code because there are, well, more advanced stuff within scalable platform. There are some SKs describing the difference still, and that's why I say that it's not really the same. I would compare it like normal gateway to VSX and then scalable platform. So it's very similar. I think it's a big step for Checkpoint themselves to actually have this code align more, so you don't have super big difference. It's actually only difference within the product itself, but the code base is more and more similar, so it's easier to focus on bugs and actually resolve things and add new features in an easier way. So when it comes to, software development and so on, Checkpoint has their EA, GA, and recommended state in general. And the EA program for R81.10 was publicly announced in February 2021. So it has been going on for 4 months, and that's a good thing. That means that real customers in real production environment has actually used this software in real production. So this gives Checkpoint an opportunity to see more real world stuff and not only like small data or tests within Checkpoint. They actually have production traffic going through it. And if you haven't tried an EA program before, this is something that I recommend you to do if you have time, because you need to put in time to be part of an EA program. You need to give feedback to Checkpoint, because if not, it's useless. When it's public, you can do it you can download the software yourself and just try it. But if you're actually going to be in the EA program, you need to contribute to Checkpoint and actually give them your time and your feedback to improve their product and actually use this. So within the EA program, and when they announce it, you get the feeling like, yeah, this is the functions that they want to try. So most that is in the GA is exactly the same as the EA version. So there are not super much revolutionary things except for Maestro. So if we go back to the GA version, general availability, meaning it's free for all to download. This is Checkpoint's newest software, and it's not the recommended state yet, but everyone can use it, and it aligns to different versions quite good. And when I say it's aligned to different versions, I just want to show you here. So when you build a software, you base it on something. It includes the same fixes. So the R81.10 GA version, it should include the same fixes and functionalities as these softwares does. So if you're already today running an R81 take 34, you should be able to upgrade to R81.10 and hopefully don't experience so many issues. Of course, there are new functionalities, and when it's new functionalities, there are new bugs. So there are still reasons why you wouldn't upgrade everything at once, and this is just common practice with any software. There will come jumbo hotfixes. And Checkpoint's normal recommendation is, if you need the new features, upgrade when it's GA. If you don't really need it, stay on the recommended version. And as of today, still in summer 2021, the recommended version for all deployments is R80.40 with the latest jumbo hotfix. I myself, I run a few stuff in R81, mostly management stations. I don't have any gateways running R81 yet, but the management stations work fine. So I have experienced a few issues that have been taken up with support, but I think all of them are fixed now. So it takes a few months before stuff is really good. But you also need to think about, like, well, when a version is out, someone need to try it. So if you have lab environments and so on, go for it. What's the damage? Try it out. So if we scroll down like R81.10, the main thing that Checkpoint wants to push on here is that it's AI-based threat prevention. AI and ML and all that marketing things. And I don't really know what's the difference and how they incorporate AI or ML compared to what they did before. Because they still have this threat cloud that I have been using for years. Maybe they're sending more data and correlate it in a different thing. But if you're using threat cloud, shouldn't you take advantage of that in the older release? There are differences within R81, R81.10, and that's regarding how you actually change this. So now there is an autonomous threat prevention. I will show you that in the Smart Console. Actually, there is a new tab under threat prevention that is autonomous policy, and this is an easier way to enable features. So if you're running a parameter firewall, this is the recommended one, and you have different policies that you can apply. And I think this is the right approach, because I mean, you can configure things until it's insane. You can do it like, yeah, I want this bit and this bit and this bit. But if you have 100 firewalls, do you have time for that? Do you have an employee that can actually sit and check all this stuff and give value for his salary? I would say no. And I think this is the biggest thing within the newer releases within Checkpoint, that Checkpoint is trying to improve, make it easier for things that we actually don't need to care about. I mean, if Checkpoint's recommendation, and Checkpoint has been quite bad in recommending stuff. They have always said, like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, and you can do this. But they haven't given a clear recommendation, like, this is the recommendation for an MSP, this is the recommendation for a SMB, this is the recommendation for a data center. And this is part of this journey to make it easier for us customers, because there will not be more people that managing stuff. There will be a lot more stuff to manage with fewer people. And this is a great way to make it easier for us. So I think this is the big part when it comes to R81 and R80.10, to actually give us admins more time. And you can call it AI, ML, or whatever. But I think that's the main purpose of it. So what they more are talking about is, for example, the management service reliability, the performance, the scale, and so on. And I just checked the release notes regarding this, like, major improvement in the operation security across the management service reliability and performance and scale. Like, what does this actually mean? So if you check the release notes from R81.10, and you check the software changes. So one of the things that is highlighted in the software changes here, the Solar functionalities used by the Security Management Service database is replaced with Postgres SQL database. So what they are referring to in R81.10 release notes when they say scalability and performance and so on is a change of the database. So this is a major change, and the Solar is still used for logs and smart event. So now you have two databases, and maybe if you have two databases, it goes faster. I'm not really a DBA, but I would suspect that when you split out functions, you're able to put more performance because you can split it in different cores or whatever. But I don't really know. But this is what they actually is referring to. And this also means that some custom scripts and so on will stop working. So that's why it's important when you're doing an upgrade that you actually check like the smaller things, the fine print. Because there is actually more fine print here if you see that here. So they add 2 new ports. This is not an issue if you only have one management server and one gateway because they are controlled by the same, so it will be in default rules and so on. But if you're traversing a network where you actually have multiple management servers that is responsible for different gateways and you're traversing that, it will not go in the default policy. So you will need to add these ports because you need them for communication to the gateways. So this is something that is important to be aware of when you have larger environments, and that's why you should check this software changes in release notes as well. So what they're also talking about is like add dynamic log distribution, so they can handle more logs, and that's good because the logs are increasing because the traffic is increasing, and you want to log more and more things because you want to do HTTPS inspection and so on, and the logs are quite enormously a lot bigger when you're doing full inspection and you actually log everything. I mean, if you're only doing basic logs and you turn on accounting logs, it's like ×3. So to have the possibility to distribute the logs better, I think it's quite good, at least for large customers. And the biggest thing for a large customer is this one, that the smart console is automated updated. This is something that we have been waiting for a long time, and it was introduced in R81, but now they really highlight it even more. So R81.10 smart console, maybe finally we can not need to update it all the time. And just as a reference as well, R81.10, it brings the read-write capabilities within the browser. So finally, you can actually manage a checkpoint installation from like a Mac or a Linux because you can use the web browser. This is something that will improve over time. I don't know if everything is working within the web browser. It says most common used functions, and it will add more capability over time. And here you see the automated updates for Smart Console. Great, finally. Logging monitor, distribute logs between multiple active log servers to support higher log rate and redundancy of log servers. Awesome. I mean, it has been working for MDS and so on for a long period of time, but any improvement when it comes to scalability is good improvements. And here you have the I think it's called Mitra, but it's a different way to view attacks. I mean, if you only see logs, you're blind. You will not be able to correlate your logs manually. I mean, you need to have it in an easier visible thing. That's why you have like CM systems and so on. So to have this Mitra and so on, it's make it a lot easier because Checkpoint do some correlation itself, and it will be easier for the CM system as well. So this is good things. And then they're referring to new APIs, faster management. I think that has to do with the database and how they actually fix the code. So there are a new API reference. I think it's 1.7, 1.8 apparently. So 1.8 is the new API. And you can of course check the changes, what it has for changes, and update the APIs. There was a lot of updates in 1.71, several hundreds and 300. So the API is something that Checkpoint is working for. According to me, they're still missing a lot of basic APIs, especially for VSX. So VSX is very limited when it comes to APIs still. So this is something that Checkpoint just need to fix. Maybe it will come in a later release, I don't know. But so far, APIs for VSX when it comes to R81.10 is useless. And the last part that Checkpoint is highlighting a lot is this part. For scalable platform and for Maestro. So here it states that it's included in the main train release, and it will get the last fixes and improvements. So let's see. I still think there are differences, but this is a good way in the right direction. And the biggest thing, as I see it when it comes to Maestro, is this part. You're able to mix appliances. So when you're doing a Maestro installation, you have an orchestrator, and to this orchestrator you connect appliance boxes, and they can work as one or as multiple security groups. So this means that you can have some appliances of one version and other appliances of a different version. And maybe that's not the best for, I don't know, for scalability or whatever. But you also need to think about when appliances change modules. It's not cheap to buy 52 appliances at once. So if you're going to have this Maestro solution, you want to be able to have your appliances, and after 3 years you want to be able to add other appliances so you can do a hardware change. So I think this part of mixing appliances, maybe there are some customers that want to have different appliances for different reasons. Maybe it's different ports or whatever. But I think it has more to do with how you actually prolong the system, the length, and that you can do purchase appliances in different stages to do your hardware replacement. So I think it has to do more with a finance part, so to say, a budget part. So I think this was necessary, and I think it's good, and I'm surprised it wasn't in from start. And then there is a lot of functionalities, and you see here align with the security gateway features, meaning this is features that was available within normal gateways but hasn't been available with this SP platform. So this is part of why they're saying it's aligning with the main train to give the functionalities that was missing. There are still things that are missing from this list, so I wouldn't say it's fully aligned, but it has to do with like if you're running gateway, a normal gateway, HA, or if you're running a VSX, they don't have the same functionalities. It has always been like that, and I think there will always be differences because it's a different type of product for a different type of customer, and one thing maybe don't fit for everyone. So there will be a difference, and you still need to check difference if you're running a Maestro or a VSX or a gateway. Will there come a time when all is aligned? Honestly, I don't think so. I think Checkpoint has this as a goal, but I think it will take years. So when it comes to VSX, they have added some more functionalities. I don't know if this is useful. I bet someone has asked for it, so someone wants it. I also see one thing within the release notes that is new for VSX that I like. And if we go back to the software changes, here, VSX, starting from R81.10, VSLS is the only supported mode for new installations, meaning you cannot install it in HA. So R81.10 says that for VSX you should run VSLS. And I agree with that. VSLS is awesome. I don't see any reason why you would run an HA and running VSX. From R81, the limitations from VSLS was fixed, meaning you can run your virtual router if you want to. Personally, I think the virtual router is crap, so don't use it. But if you have one within a newer version, you're able to run VSLS even if you have a virtual router. And also see here, if you upgrade from an earlier version, then you can still run HA. But I would expect the HA mode to disappear from VSLS. Why wouldn't you run VSLS? VSLS is great. Run VSLS if you run VSX. But still, make sure to check the release notes. Not only check like the highlight stuff from Checkpoint. You actually want to see what is the changes. And software changes is a great way to check this. So VPN Performance Enhancement. Yeah, everyone working remotely, IPsec VPN, whatever. They're now handling by different processes. I don't understand why it wasn't before, but maybe this database change gives the Checkpoint possibility to do multi-core for more things. And clustering, use loopback interface with dynamic routing for ClusterXL environments. Yeah, that's good, especially when it comes to like public clouds or active data center. You want to be able to have like BGP routing. So all things like clustering, dynamic routing, it's good, it's needed, because you need to have a more dynamic environment, and you cannot only run static things. Even if I'm a big fan of static things like static routing or whatever, but it doesn't really work in a public cloud environment. You actually need to run like a dynamic routing protocol. So some changes regarding the policy, but also here it's only default for new installations. So this is features that you need to enable, and I understand why Checkpoint keeps it to default, because when you do an upgrade, you don't want to study for a week to learn like what will happen if we upgrade. It should be simple. And then Checkpoint most likely will announce features and say like, you can enable this, and it's already in the code. So this is the right approach to do, that the previous changes or behavior is kept, and for new installation it's changed, and then you have the possibility to change it manually if you need or if you want. But this has to do with announcing things, getting information out to the customers, and this can take a while. We are not the best in joining all the webinars and reading all the release notes. Then you have some changes to the advanced routing. As I said before, it's great. You need to keep up with the advanced routing, the dynamic routing, so you're able to work in a public cloud environment. This is really important to have a dynamic and scalable and flexible environment to use dynamic routing. Here, more APIs was introduced. APIs is always great. You can change some TLS version in Gaia portal. Okay. ISP redundancy up to 10 ISP links. This has to do with, I would say, prepping for SD-WAN. If you remember old video I did do about SD-WAN, they have possibility to add more redundancy when it comes to ISPs, but also how to actually control the traffic and send some traffic to one link and other traffic to different link. So this has to do with fixing SD-WAN functionalities, I would say. Here, automatic things, automatic downloading applied without a human human intervention. I don't know if this means that the policy will be installed or if it will work more like anti-bot, where it's actually just updated on the gateway without you installing the policy. Some changes regarding identity awareness, just see the SK, but it's good. And here it's the stability and performance. I would say this is due to the database change. All of this, that they just work in a different way and they utilize the resources in a better way. When it comes to REST APIs, yeah, there is always improvements. I still think that it's not enough. I still think that more is needed. You may have different thoughts about that, but my thing is still that it's missing a lot of APIs, and this is something that is improving over time. And we see it when it comes to the change logs and the reference here. I don't know how many people are using APIs fully and actually working with them on a daily basis. For me, I'm missing too much when it comes to VSX to actually be able to use APIs in an efficient way. Smart console here, automated updated. You need to check here the SK. I think there are some caveats, mainly regarding administrative privilege and so on. I don't know how the upgrade will work if you're just a user on a jump gate, whatever. But automated updates for Smart Console is still something we have been waiting for a long time, and this is great. So keep it up. Logging, as I said here, I think it's called Mitra, gives easier and better CM logging, better filtering, easier to actually see events that's happening, because you will have millions of logs and you don't want to see millions of logs. You want to see what you want to do. And this is the new standard, so to say, for security, and it's good that Checkpoint implement it. There are some changes regarding HA. Also, if you check the release notes, there are some reference here that some synchronization is taking longer, that they are not triggered right away, but they actually take a few minutes before they are started. And I also believe that these parts is improving the scalability and performance of the management station, meaning revisions are purged by default to clear some space. This is something that you can change if you don't want, but I think this is good. Why would you keep revisions for longer than 30 days? So things like this is improving performance because people forget to clean things, and if you have a lot of old crap, the system runs slow. That's how it is. IoT controller support for multi-domain. Great. Been missing. A lot of service providers has large environments and they want to have IoT support, of course, because, well, they normally control or managing security for different vendors and partners and so on. And normally service providers use MDS. So yeah, it's needed. And some basic things. Endpoint, I don't really know about endpoint anymore. I haven't used it for a while. CloudGuard network part. I was expecting to see Nutanix and so on that they actually announced recently, but it's not included. So if we check the Smart Console again, the policy and the destinations, you can see import data centers, new data centers, and you have more things. For example, Kubernetes. But I don't see, for example, Nutanix that was announced 2 months ago. So I guess it will come. And hopefully this will come with a Smart Console update automatically. IoT controller, discovery service, updatable objects. This is running the demo one. I don't know if something is missing. We will install a R81.10 management server in lab. When it comes to backwards capability, the R81.10 has the same capabilities as R81. So it's still supporting R77.30 gateways. So they haven't removed that yet. Even that R77.30 is not supported anymore and hasn't been for a while, meaning September 2019. But Checkpoint still allows you to have the same support. And I think this will make upgrades easier because apparently people are still using R77.30, even that they should update. When it comes to appliance support, this list hasn't been updated yet. I have mentioned it to Checkpoint, but I would assume, and I shouldn't say that, but I would assume that everything that is supporting R81 is also supporting R81.10. But that's just an assumption for me. It's not in the list yet, but as it's a minor version, I think it's safe to assume. And as always, if you scroll down, you will see the release notes, admin guides, resolved issues, and you will have the different type of images that you can use for installation. And we will install some of this stuff and just test out and see if there is any difference. We will do some upgrades. And just keep in mind there is different images, a lot of different images this time, even when it comes to Smart Console and so on. So the first Smart Console you need to install R81.10, and hopefully it will be updated automatically forever and we don't need to care about it. But let's see. So I think this is it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.